Ashton Jeanty goes 6th overall. You and I talked about him with Steve when we were going over these guys coming out in the draft. He does have 1,321 scrimmage yards, led all rookies. He's one of 2 rookies in NFL history with 800 rushing yards, 5 rushing TDs, and 5 receiving TDs. Do you know who the other one is as a rookie? In 1965, one Gale Sayers, probably running around Wrigley Field, maybe. I don't know. They're playing as Kings back there. What's your initial take? Obviously, we'll get into the situation, but of what Jeanty did with the Raiders in year 1.
I mean, the situation takes the biggest part out of it, James, to me. That's the biggest part of it. He was in a terrible situation. Offensive line was in shambles, organization pretty much in shambles. But he was the, I guess, 1 or 2 bright spots on that roster. Brock Bowers being the other one, and obviously Max Crosby. Maybe even sprinkle a little Devin White in there, who, broke the single season tackle record there. But offensively, it was all Jeanty. Brock Bowers was banged up this year, so Jeanty had to carry the load as a rookie. And to me, you saw everything that we saw at Boise State. You saw the contact balance. You saw the explosiveness. You saw the hands. You saw the ability to be violent in certain situations, but also some finesse. And so to me, you are a victim of your circumstance in the NFL. And I hate to say that, but I thought he did a really good job. I thought late in the season, you really saw him showcase his skill set. They found ways to get him outside, running receiver routes and different things like that. And that's what you saw at Boise State. So to me, I think when you look at running backs, there's certain traits you look for. You look for contact balance being number 1, vision. You look for soft hands. Me personally, I like short area quickness. He showed really well in all those categories.
Yeah, I talked to a DC that went against him, MJ. I'm going to ask you about this because this is part of the situation. First, he said, I thought he was good. I thought their offensive line was blank horrendous. And then he said, but what I did see was he did make the first guy miss. And oftentimes, he was never getting knocked backwards by a single person. If it's one tackler, right? He's not getting knocked backwards by a single tackler. And we were having this conversation about, he was like, look at Saquon Barkley, or look at some of these other guys where it's like, you can look up on second down and you're like, oh, I thought this was going to be 2nd and 7. It's 2nd and 5.
Yes.
Because of the way our O-line played, right? He got 2 or 3 when he should have had 0. I mean, he was getting hit, Jeanty, at the line of scrimmage regularly, seeing contact at the line of scrimmage. So how do you evaluate a back that's going through that? Do you look at those little nuances going, I can't believe he got 2? Are you looking at that? Yeah.
I mean, listen, I was coached by Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy used to tell us, I don't care if they don't block anybody. You better not get a negative yards, right? Don't get negative gains. You have to find a way to get back to the line of scrimmage or find a way to get a yard in those situations. And those things are going to happen. But I thought what he did at his best, he had a ton of penetration in the run game. He had to make people miss 3-4 yards in the backfield, but he always got 2 or 3 yards. I thought Greg Olsen did an awesome job when he came in and he said, listen, I'm not going to run you down the middle like Chip Kelly was doing. We're going to get you out in space, right? We're going to force these guys and try to tackle you out in space. And a lot of times that's what you have to do if you don't have a really good offensive line, right? Yeah. I tell people all the time, great coordinators make things happen, right? No matter what the circumstance is, they make things happen. If you look in Jacksonville, for example, Liam Cohen, the Jags had a bad running game last year. He found a way to get their running game going. A lot of it came with play action pass, swings to the back early to get guys outside. And then they were able to start running downhill. Well, what you saw what the Raiders did with Jeanty, they started getting them out in space, right? If I'm turning around and I'm handing you the ball off, well, hold on first. Let me start over. First of all, they made him stand wrong, right? They made him put his hands on his knees and bend over. That was terrible. Why are you
You would have just let him do what he does. You saw him play like that, let him play.
Just let him do what he does. Then you allow him to go back to it. Then he starts going crazy. And again, it's all about being comfortable. So that's the first part. Then you're like, okay, our O-line's not that good. Let's get him out in space so he doesn't get hit by 17 guys on every play. And then you start to see, as he started breaking guys down in the open field, they would get back to the running game and there'd be creases there, right? Because you've worn down the defense in a different way. And so I thought overall, Jeanty, the numbers weren't where you expected it to be, but I didn't think the Raiders were ready to have that caliber back yet, if that makes sense. And so to me, I feel like he did an amazing job. of really weathering the storm. If that you could get very frustrated in that situation. I mean, I could tell you as a player and as a former running back and a competitor, like if things aren't going your way, you can get very frustrated in those situations. But I thought he did an awesome job of just handling his business.
Yeah, I mean, we're critiquing everything that he was in this situation. It still was a yards from scrimmage Raiders rookie franchise record. Like, it still was that with everything he was going against. When I look at the numbers, MG, it kind of tells a tale of what you were saying would happen in that first part of the season. 54% of his attempts, he was hit at or behind the line of scrimmage. That's not on the running back. Like, that's not on you. So, like, all right, half my attempts, essentially, I'm getting stood up at the line of scrimmage. 84% of his yards are after initial contact. So this is what he's dealing with here at the line of scrimmage. We were always talking about the balance and the breaking tackles when he was at Boise. I remember you and I having that conversation. When I talked to a couple people around the league, it was the breaking tackles thing is different in the NFL. So I wanted you to give me, like, what's the difference of breaking tackles in college to the NFL? Like, what was it like when you got to the league? Because they still did see him break tackles. It was interesting that nugget was given to me going, it's a different world breaking NFL tackles to college tackles. What is the difference there?
I'll tell you, the late Tony Sperano, when I was with the Raiders, I was working out one morning, lifting weights, and I'm getting it in, not having the best season.
Of course.
But he was like, man, that's what I like seeing. Like, you lift weights to break tackles. And I looked at Tony Sperano, and I stopped. I said, bro, I've broken tackles my whole life. It doesn't change. Weights didn't change. I didn't lift weights as an 8-year-old. I didn't lift weights as a 12-year-old. I didn't lift weights as I broke tackles because that's what I do, right? I think a lot of people, again, a lot of scouts and people are going to say, oh, it's different. Like, dude, the same moves that I made as an 8-year-old that worked in the NFL against Ray Lewis, worked in the NFL against these greats, right? Like the same little funky moves that a coach taught me as an 8-year-old, I perfected my craft and it kind of carried with me. I will say people always say that because obviously you have the best of the best in the NFL, right? In college, there's always one or two guys that probably was not going to go to the NFL, but was a really good college player. But I always tell people the hardest thing in the NFL to do is tackle. That's the hardest thing in the NFL. Mm-hmm. If you're a tackle breaker, that is going to make it that much harder on these other guys to try to tackle you. And so to me, there's no difference in breaking. If you're not like, let's use David Montgomery, for example.
Great call. Okay.
He broke a ton of tackles at Iowa State. What does he do now?
Break tackles. I went to his pro day at Iowa State.
Yeah, he just breaks tackles. It is not because it's their running style and how they run. And so 99% of the time, what you are on Saturday, you'll be on Sunday. And to me, he's a guy that breaks tackles. He'll break tackles on Sunday.
Always, yeah. The balance was as advertised with the people I talked to. That translated really, really well. One defensive coach that went against him, I thought he caught the ball way better than people gave him credit for. In terms of being a receiving back, it wasn't like it was used a ton at Boise State, if I remember. But I remember you telling us he can do this. Like, this is a part of his skill set. What would you like to see in terms of the offense that might be in Vegas next year? We don't know what that is as we're doing this. What would fit him best in your eyes?
The way the Niners use Christian McCaffrey.
Really? Okay.
Simple. If the Raiders, let's look at their division first. The Broncos have a top defense. The Chiefs have a top defense. The Chargers have a top defense. You have to find a way to find a coach that's creative enough to get him in space and to get him running like Christian McCaffrey does, like Kyle Shanahan does with Christian McCaffrey. And so to me, that type of offense with that type of usage where he's up at wide receiver, he's in the backfield, he's motioning, all this creativity stuff, he would excel in that. He would excel. Mm-hmm. I think it's funny, people didn't think he could catch. Dirk Cutter, who was his OC at Boise State, we had a conversation. He was like, Maurice, this kid reminds me of you. Blah, blah, blah. Ooh. And I was like, Dirk, I appreciate that. I was like, but remember, I caught the ball at Jacksonville. Like, I had 62 catches in the season. I was averaging around 50 catches. Listen, you didn't throw him the ball. And he was like, well, it's easier just to turn around and hand him the ball, Maurice, than trust a quarterback to get him the ball. Like, it's like, this is not the NFL. And I was like, okay, so he can run routes. He goes, he's one of the better route runners that we have. He has some of the better hands. So going into the season, I knew that he could catch the ball because, again, I was talking to a lot of people up there. They just said it was easier to get him the ball by just turning around and handing him off. When I was in Jacksonville, it was the opposite, right? We'd have 8, 9 guys in the box. Yeah, you could hand the ball off, but it was easier to get guys out in space. And so I actually spoke with Greg Olson about that when he took over the OC job. I was like, bro, if the guy can catch, like, try to get him out in space a little bit and see what he can do. And that's what you saw late in the game. I mean, against the Bears, he had a terrific catch and run for like 80 yards against the Bears, lining up at wide receiver. So to me, I think the outside zone system fits him well. I think, one, that'll help your offensive line because, again, you see the Niners' offensive line, besides Trent Williams, they're kind of just patched together.
Yep.
So that will help, one. But then, two, their ability to put them up at wide receiver, motion them around, do different things and make the defense, we call those kind of guys coverage dictators. Like Steve was a coverage dictator. You made sure you had eyes on Steve all the time. Same thing with running backs. When running backs go detach from the formation and go out to wide receiver, you're either going to tell them there's a linebacker on them to tell us man, or a corner's on them tells us zone. And then I can throw you screen pass. I can do different things to get you, similar yak or yards after contact or yards after catch that you'll get if I just turn around and hand you the ball. So I would like to see that kind of, and I think a lot of the offenses are going towards that Shanahan, McVay offense, that, kind of motion stuff. But if you get him in those, I think you'll be super excited about what they're doing.
When it comes to home security, you want to feel like you can pick the system that actually keeps trouble away. Not one that just tells you something bad already has happened. That's why I like Simply Safe Home Security. I do a lot of traveling, especially with the playoffs coming on right now. Everybody knows where I'm not, and that means that I'm not at home. Simply Safe uses AI-powered cameras outside of your home to spot the real threats and instant alarms with live agents, and that's extremely important. This is what it makes it different from the rest. Those agents actually take action while the intruder is still outside. They talk to them through the camera, and they let them know that they're being watched and the police are on their way. And if needed, they can blast a siren and light them up with a spotlight. That's what I love Simply Safe. They do a really good job of making sure that their technology is friendly. I'm not tech savvy, but working the app with Simply Safe and implementing and putting things around my home is simple. And it's easy and convenient, and I feel at ease because I know my home is now protected by Simply Safe. Right now, you can get 50% off any new system this month only. It's a great time to upgrade to security that actually helps stop crime before it starts. Go to simplysafe.com/89show. That's simplysafe.com/89show. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what kind of offense he plays in. This is devil's advocate here, Maurice, because there's some people around the league going, you pick a guy sixth, but I don't see, and this is just conversations, just casual, and everybody has their own opinion. I don't see the crazy fast forward explosive speed from a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs or Saquon Barkley, or these guys that are picked very high in the draft, the home run hitting ability that comes with the other aspects of a running back. Do you counter that? Do you think it was the right pick that high? Because there's some people I've had discussion with going, well, I don't see like the crazy Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon, other guys that were taken really high, that explosiveness that comes with the back that you're taking.
Yeah, I think he should have been a top 5. I think he went at 6. So I thought his talent was top 5.
He's 6, yep.
But he's a different player than Gibbs and Bijan and Saquon. He's not that type of guy, right? So you have to understand his superpower is that he's compact, right? He's 5'8", 215. Imagine trying to get your arms around a guy like that whose legs are huge. Saquon Barkley, I think, is a supersized version of that at 6 foot 230. But if you look at Gibbs' superpower is his quickness and his acceleration. Bijan's superpower is his start and stop. Right?
Yes.
And so everyone has their own superpower that fits what they do. But I've never seen him get tackled from behind. I've seen him continue to break tackles down the field. And to me, he's a kid that I think the league is going to start going towards where, the harder guys to tackle are the guys that are a little smaller and more compact If you look at what the Rams are doing with Kyron and Blake Corum, smaller, compact guys, then you have these big offensive linemen. It's hard to see them. Then when they jump up on you, you got to like try to rally them and grab their legs and tackle them. To me, I thought he was a top 5 pick for sure, but based off his production and his pro day. But I also thought that his superpower was different than everyone else's.
Yeah,
right?
And that's a really good point, because I think the people I'm talking to here are going, this league is desperate for explosive plays, right? Every team, the way defenses are playing, we need explosive plays. So that's their thought going, like, we'd love to run a 3-play drive, 2-play drive, and go to the house. Like,
oh, dude.
Yeah.
He could do that, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, he did that late in the season. Early in the season, he couldn't do it because he was jump cutting at 17 yards in the backfield as guys were shooting through the line of scrimmage, right? So we get him out in space. He starts breaking off 80, 60-yard runs. It's like, oh, okay, that's what we saw at Boise. So a lot of that had to do with the scheme more than anything.
And the other thing that I was told is, I mean, there was no outside threat at all to take anybody away from the middle of the field where he's at, right?
Again, I'm not
you
here
need
to bash
personnel.
people. I'm just telling you, Brock Bowers wasn't out there half the time, and Geno Smith was running for his life.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. Imagine if you put him, let's say if you put him in Atlanta's offense, I don't know if he's doing what Bijan's doing, but he's doing a lot better than what he's doing with the Raiders, right? Better offensive line, capable quarterback, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Like, you have to respect those guys. If you look at what Detroit's doing, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Jared Goff, like offensive line.
Sam
really
Laporta,
good.
keep going.
Yeah. Like all these guys, he doesn't have that. It was him and Brock Bowers. And I thought Jacoby Myers actually did well with Jacksonville, but he was doing terrible with the Raiders. And so they didn't have any number 1 wide receiver. I remember going to camp there. They're like, bro, we got to find a number 1. So much so that they went and tried to go get Amari Cooper.
I remember that. How long did that last? A few days? Or what was
I think like a few hours. I think Amari was like, I don't think I'm going to do this anymore.
I think I'm good. Yeah. But you're right. Like that in that offense in Atlanta, Bijan, 3rd down, he's the number 2 option in the pass game. Like it would go Drake London. I was always told Drake London, Bijan's our next look. Like that's the way we operate. You know,
when I was in Jacksonville, on 3rd down, depending if it was 3rd and 5 or 6, I was the number 1 look. Like they'd be like, Maurice, you're going to run an option here. Mercedes, you're going to run a corner. We're going to read that side before we go to the receivers. Right. But again, you got to have a coach that has that mindset and that's willing to buy into those things when you don't have a number 1. Now, we had some really good players, but we didn't have a number 1 guy at the time. And so we had to be creative with certain things. And again, it's not a knock on not having a number 1 guy. A lot of people don't have number 1 guys, right? And so you just got to be creative in how you do things. I mean, like I said, look at the Niners. The Niners don't have a number 1 wide receiver, but that's why I say that offense works there, because the tight end becomes a valuable option. They have 2 of them, right? They have a running back. You have a quarterback that can get on the move a little bit. And you can build this roster up. Or if you do take a quarterback number 1, that's a very quarterback-friendly offense that will help you.
I love it. All right, let's do some grades here. I'm going to hit you with them. Maurice has never seen these.
Never.
These are just his blind grades. All right. Ashton Jeanty, 1st grade. Between the tackles, what grade are you giving Ashton Jeanty?
All right, I'll give him an A-.
A-, perfect. A-. I mean, he's dealing with a lot there. I mean, it's Ashton Jeanty and the D line are hanging out quite a bit. Explosive plays. This was a discussion point we had around here. So
I'd probably say a B. And the only reason it's a B and not an A is it took too long for them to get him out in the open. And so, but once he got out there, he showed his burst, but it was just too late in the year.
Yeah, there's not on here. By the way, I just give this away. There's not on here like situation or handling the situation you were in, right? Like that could be like A+. You're hoping year 2 here is going to be. It just has to be better than what it was in year 1. Like it just has to be. All right, 3rd one, hands for Ashton Jeanty.
No, yeah, I'll give him an A. I thought his hands were, like I said, I saw him line up a wide receiver catch a fade ball or a sluggo on a guy. Like to me, that tells you that he has receiver ability. And receiver ability is the worst thing for linebackers to have to cover, or corners or safeties.
Yeah. Yeah, and everybody's going for that big nickel look lately, right?
Oh, yeah.
Get that 3rd safety out there because of these players, because of these guys. It's like our linebackers not hanging with this guy.
No, can't run with him.
Not a
chance.
chance.
They're box players. These guys, now you're forcing these guys to get outside the box.
Yep, exactly. Okay, pass protection.
I thought he was an A+ in pass protection.
Love that. Okay, give me a detail.
I thought he did an awesome job of picking up blitzes this year.
Yeah, and that's usually, and just give everybody at home a little bit of a context on that. That's usually one of the last things that you pick up as a rookie back, right?
It's different. It's a different situation. But I thought he knew where he was going, and he picked up the blitz well.
I love that. All right, growth.
I would give him a B+. I think he still has some room to grow.
Okay.
But I think a lot of that determines on who the Raiders hire and what their mindset is about the position and how they're going to utilize him.
Great point. Okay. All right, so then our overall grade for Ashton Jeanty is MJD?
I'd say A-.
It's a good call. Yeah.
I mean, you set records, you get an A for sure, but I thought the situation that he got, this is graded on a curve. You're in a
100%.
Terrible situation. I should give him
sport,
A+.
baby.
Terrible situation. But
does he need to change anything in year 2 that you want to see? Does he want to? Do you want to not see contact as much as he see? Like what
I
do
would
you think
say
one thing for year 2 you want to watch?
In the preseason, if he plays, don't let those people touch you. Because it makes those are unnecessary hits you have to have. That was my only concern is he went head up with like one of the Niner linebackers.
Straight at him.
Like, dude, what are we doing? This is preseason.
Yes.
Like, you don't need
Okay.